Hi there. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you all here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. We're here for an episode of my favorites, which we do every Wednesday. So basically, this week we are doing the ranking of Greenslade. This is a band that I've been promising to do now for a bit. They're a little bit late. I was going to do them at the beginning of the month, but I didn't feel comfortable quite yet to decide. There's a couple of, when I was listening to, there's a couple of things on the albums that made me feel differently about some of the albums, made them a little bit stronger. So I wanted to give them a full chance. And here we are doing them today. So we're going to be doing the rankings of this band, Greenslade. This is their most recent album, probably released like maybe 20 some years ago. And then you have the original first two and a 2/4 here, and then the other two in a 2/4 here, Spyglass and Glass and Time and a Tide. So I've ranked them according to how I like them. That's normally what I do, and we'll be giving to you them the way I always do this, which is my least favorite to my most favorite. It's not just the way I do it. Most people who do this kind of thing do it the same way, and I kind of like that way, so I stick with the status quo. So there's only 5 studio albums here in their discography. This is the band that I came to discover during one of the series that Ben and me were doing few years back, I think it was the battle of the other prog bands, and these were one of those bands. Now, they didn't do particularly well in the series. I think they might have got through the first round and then got knocked out in the second round. I didn't expect them to really become prominent for me, but I seen their albums for sale, and I remember liking them, but not thinking too highly of them until I bought the albums, and now they've become a band I like quite a bit, and I like all 5 of the studio albums. Of course, I like some more than others, and so that's what the purpose of this video is going to be, is to show you which ones I like the most and which ones I like maybe the least. So we're going to start by ranking the least favorite and go up to the top, my favorite, or worst to first if you prefer. And so I'll start by giving you the album that I like a bit on the least side. So this is the newest one, Large Afternoon. It's kind of a strange title. The artwork looks, they were trying to capture some of their traditional artwork here, but this is more of a picture with a predisposed drawing on the front of it. Now, I don't know if this drawing I think this drawing was done by somebody else, not by Roger Dean, who did the original 3 of the original covers. I like 2 of the original covers. This one looks like this could be his drawing on superimposed on the album. But anyways, a little bit different of a lineup here too, because this is much later in their discography. I believe, like I said, it comes from the late or the early part of this century. It says 2000, but I have a feeling that it was 2003. I'm just going to take a check here. Yeah, it just says 2000, so we'll go with the 2000 as being the release dates here. Yeah, we'll just go with that. So, album released in this century, so many years after their original run, which was in the early to mid 70s. I think the reason that this one comes in 5th for me, songs are good, but it doesn't seem to have that dominating keyboard or multi-layered prog sound that the others do. It does sound kind of proggy, but it's more systematic sounding than the other albums. and it has a different vocalist, John Young, on the vocals here, and no David Greenslade on the album. Although Tony Reeves does reappear here, and the drummer is Chris Cousins, if that's what you want to say it. And then, of course, David Greenslade on the keyboards as well. So, yeah, so it has all the traditional elements of Greenslade, but the vocals are very deeper, much more, a lot clearer sounding and everything. They don't really sound like the traditional Greenslade vocals, but still not a bad album. It started to grow on me towards my listening period with it, and it is currently in my playlist. So overall, not a bad album, but definitely number 5 here. Number 4. So it jumps up quite a bit here to number 4. So then the top 4, or they're a traditional 4 albums, are all fairly close, not much separating them. I would call them all very good albums, but I don't think there's a masterpiece here. Maybe the one that is going to end up in first place might make it to masterpiece, but they're all pretty solid, what I would call ones. So we'll give you the number 4 album, which is the second album by them here. You'll see it. This is the the first 2 were both definitely done by the artwork, definitely done by Roger Dean, the full artwork. And so Bedside Manners is the name of the album. It's going to come here at number 4. I like this album quite a bit, actually. Some stuff on here. Bedside Manners are extra. The opening track's pretty good. And Pilgrim's Progress I like quite a bit too. And there's quite a bit of really strong kind of keyboard soloing and multi-layered keyboard soloing with lots of stuff going on. And of course, you've got David Lawson singing, so the voice is very nasally, kind of not as easy to understand. It's kind of not as clear as the vocals on the first one I gave you. So that's going to be my number 4, second studio album, Bedside Manners. Number 3, we move to the other CD, and it's the last one of the classic era albums, Time and Tide here, the bottom one. Looks like it has similar artwork to Roger Dean, but it's not the same artist at all. Once you see the album up close, you'll see that it's different, but it still has a lot of the same themes, the same colors themes, although there is a little bit more the blues, reds, and purples that you don't normally see on Greenslade albums. But it does have that kind of Roger Dean feel to it. On this album, which is the most recent album, there is quite a bit of guitar. There are more songs on this one than any of the other albums, on any of their albums, I guess. Maybe this one has, this one has 10. Most of the stuff is pretty good. There is a fair bit of that classic Greenslade proggy keyboard dominated stuff, but there's also some guitar on here. This album's a little more poppier too, compared to the other 3, the first 3, a lot poppier. It's got more of a poppier element to it. I initially didn't really care for this album too much. It was the first one that I had in my playlist. I didn't think did particularly well because I just couldn't warm up to it because I found it not as proggy as the other ones. But after I got to listen to it for a while, there's a couple of songs on here I like quite a bit. The opening track, Animal Farm, and the 2 kind of instrumental parts, Time and Tide, as well as Kathleen as well. Yeah, so there's some pretty solid stuff on here, but it's not nearly as proggy as the other 3 albums. So it's going to come here at number 3. Next is the top 2 albums. So the number 2 is going to be the debut album, which is on this thing. Very kind of, you can see it here at the top. I don't know if I can get a good close look at it. Very proggy looking album. Roger Dean definitely dominating this opening studio album by them. The biggest thing about this album I like is it's very proggy. Lots of keyboards. The bass is really good on this album. Drums are good too. Feathered Friends, Drowning Man, Why Are You Doing It To Me? I think all the songs on here are really solid. It's to me, it's a very good debut album, and has managed to hold up pretty well since I've been listening to it the longest of all the albums. Yeah, quite good. I do like a lot of the keyboards, kind of complex. I can't really think that they sound like anybody else that I can think of. Nobody really comes to mind. I guess they have a little bit of that Yesy Genesis flavor to their music, but I wouldn't overly read much into that. So that's my number 2, which then leaves my number 1 album as this one here, which is their 3rd studio album, Spyglass Guest. This was actually their biggest album too. I initially maybe didn't warm to this album as much because I was used to the first 2 albums, which had no guitar at all. And then this one, you have Clem Clemson, I think it's Clem Clemson, comes in here and plays guitar and does a great job. But it took a while for me to kind of warm up to this album. But once I warmed up to it, it just started to take over. It's very good, complex, typical prog sound, very good keyboard, very good guitar, has a little bit of a jazz fusion-y flavor to it, but there's a lot of different flavors here. It's a more up-tempo, got some really solid stuff here. Songs like Spirit of the Dance, Red Light is good. Theme for an Imaginary Western is kind of a funny song, but yeah. And as you can see, the maybe you won't be able to see this unless I put it up almost right onto the screen, but you can see there's a gong with a Black Panther sitting in front of it. So clearly not their traditional looking album. There's no Roger Dean here. There's not even any kind of semblance of trying to be that similar type going on here. But the album itself is really good. It broke away from their twin keyboard sound and kind of added some guitar. And it's a little bit more raw and a little bit heavier than the other albums as well. But really good, solid. So that's going to be my first album. That's my number 1 album. So I'll just give them to you in reverse order. So number 1, Spyglass Guest, the top one here. Number 2 is going to be their debut album, also the top one here. Number 3 is Time and Tide. It's the bottom album here on this disc, their 4th studio album. And then number 4 is Bedside Manor, the bottom one here on this disc. And then we have the 5th album, ranking number 5 is Large Afternoon. Much further in the future, like almost probably like 25 years had passed by the time they got back together and did this. And a different vocalist here and also a different drummer too. No Andrew McCulloch on that. For those of you who know, Andrew McCulloch played a little bit with King Crimson as well. Mm-hmm. So that's my ranking of the 5 studio discography of Greenslade. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think about the ranking. Would you rank them the same way if you had a chance to listen to this stuff? Is this a band that you would follow? To me, they're just really good. And so that's my ranking for today, the 5-album studio discography of Greenslade. So please hit the like and subscribe, and we'll be back next Wednesday evening with another episode of Favorites. So I hope to see you all then. Take care, have yourself a good evening, and goodbye.